So the UFC has just announced some big matchups in the works. Actually, I believe they are officially signed now, if the reports are correct. So they got Korean Zombie fighting Dan Ige. I believe they're going for 5 rounds. They're going to main event a fight night, I believe June 19th. So that'll be 1 week after UFC 263. And that one's gonna be just that's gonna be a tremendous fight. Those are two scrappers, uh, two guys that also are very well seasoned grapplers. Just it's gonna really be a great fight. So that one's gonna be fun to watch. Dan Ige, of course, coming off of like a 20-second KO, it was like the first punch of the fight, knocked his opponent out, took no damage. And of course Korean Zombie coming off of a loss in a 5-round decision to Brian Ortega, a pretty unanimous loss that you take Ortega, sorry, pretty much, dominated. But Zombie didn't look terrible. Ortega just looked really good. So this will really show, if Zombie's still in that top 5, or if it might show that Dan Ige should be in that top 5. And then they announced Ciryl Gane is going to fight Alexander Volkov for a 5-round main event on June 26, I believe, which will be 1 week later. So it looks like they're putting together a lot of June fight cards now. And what that tells me is that it looks like the UFC is probably going to try to save Derek Lewis to fight Francis Ngannou. Probably meaning they aren't willing to pay John Jones at the moment. Otherwise, I think Ciryl Gane would probably be fighting Derek Lewis or Volkov, because with these two fighting, Derek Lewis is pretty much left out of an opponent unless he goes to fight Ngannou. So I don't think the UFC is going to put together Jones and Ngannou at this time. That really is a shame. But I don't want to take that away from Gane and Volkov. That's going to be a great fight, 5 rounds. And that will show, really, because, Volkov was beating Derek Lewis for 14 minutes and 50 seconds, And then in the last 5 seconds, there he goes, gets KO'd, But hey, that's how it goes. And who knows, maybe Lewis would KO him in 1 round next time, But Volkov looked really good against Alistair Overeem, retired Overeem. And Ciryl Gane, too. He's only like 8-0. He's only got 4 UFC fights, but he looks really good. Coming off of a KO, or no, he just beat Jairzinho Rozenstruik in a 5-round decision that wasn't so exciting. But before that, he KO'd Junior Dos Santos, and he had a couple finishes before that, I believe. So we can't take that away from him. He looks like a great prospect, and he's already like 33. So really, not a prospect anymore. He's in the top 5. He's a contender. So he looks good, and this will really see who's right with Lewis and Ngannou and Stipe at the top. And I believe so they'll be fighting 1 week after Dan Ige and Korean Zombie in June. And then Belal Muhammed has been scheduled to fight Demian Maia. So that's going to be a really interesting one. This is Demian Maia's last fight on his contract. I think he has said he only wants to fight one more time, even though that didn't seem to be a big part of the reports when this fight was reported. But I remember Demian Maia saying he only wanted one more fight, months ago when they were talking about having him fight Chimaev. Then they decided that wasn't a good idea, But I remember Demian Maia saying he only wanted one more fight. This is the last fight on his contract. I have a feeling this will probably be his last fight. I don't know his age off the top of my head, but I think he's around 40. And Belal Muhammed, and Demian Maia is still number 8 or in the rankings or something like that. He's really high. He's higher than Belal Muhammed. So if Belal Muhammed can get the win here, that will definitely increase his ranking. But as far as what it does for him in the division, I don't think it's necessarily the biggest win he could get. But, Colby Covington went through Maia, I believe. Of course he did. That's when he called Brazil a filthy dump. So, of course, Colby Covington went through Maia. Usman went through Maia, Woodley went through Maia. A lot of the guys at the top fought Maia, so maybe it will really project him up there. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Really interesting fight, really. Pretty good matchmaking there, I would say. And that fight is supposed to be UFC 263, which will be the June pay-per-view, which will be June 12th, a week before Danny, Gane, and Korean Zombie. They'll, of course, only be going for 3 rounds. And the main event is right then on that pay-per-view is supposedly going to be Figueiredo and Moreno, I think. Rumor was that they were offering Francis Ngannou to fight Derek Lewis on the main event of that card, but Ngannou didn't want to turn around so quick. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see, what that pay-per-view turns out to look like. But Belal versus Maia is going to be an interesting fight on there. That will definitely be one that I'll be tuning in for, And then last but definitely not least, of the big fights I wanted to talk about, because there was a lot of other fights announced as well, but, I just wanted to talk about these 4 that kind of stood out to me. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Gilbert Burns, and they're supposed to fight at UFC 264. I don't think this one's actually completely official yet, but it's being targeted for UFC 264 according to the reports, and that's going to be, of course, Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier trilogy. I have to assume this will be the co-main event, because that's just a huge fight in the welterweight division. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, former title contender, top 5 contender at the moment, coming off of 2 big wins over young surging opponents. He beat Vicente Luque when he was on a 7-8 fight win streak, and then he beat Jeff Neal, who was 5-0 in the UFC, and he made work of both of those guys, but just completely spectacular performances. Not spectacular. I mean, spectacular is kind of, but he was dominant. That 5-round decision against Jeff Neal was dominant, and his decision against Luque was dominant. And I think this is a great fight for him. And Gilbert Burns was on a 4 or 5 fight win streak, or maybe even 6 fight win streak before he lost to Kamaru Usman. I think it was maybe only 4 in the welterweight division, but then maybe he had some wins at lightweight or something. But Burns, of course, losing to Usman, but was, he hurt Usman in that fight. So if Wonderboy can go out there and beat someone who just came off of a fight with Usman where he did hurt the champion, and of course he ended up getting finished, but he gave the champion some adversity. And if Wonderboy can beat him, I don't see how Wonderboy can go without getting a title shot if he gets a W over Gilbert Burns. But, of course, if Gilbert Burns gets a W over Wonderboy, I don't know if they'd give him an immediate rematch, but that definitely solidifies his place at the top. And would definitely, if not get him a rematch, it would definitely get him a title contention bout, or a number 1 contenders bout. Like if Leon Edwards goes out there and beats Nate Diaz, and then and then Burns goes out there and beats Wonderboy, then maybe you'll have a number 1 contenders match. Probably either way, honestly, because if Leon Edwards beats Nate Diaz, I don't see how you can turn him down either. They'd probably have to have a number 1 contenders bout with Wonderboy, the winner of Wonderboy and Burns, and then Leon Edwards. But that's a good spot to be if you're, Dana White in the UFC. You got all these welterweight contenders, even though Burns has lost to Usman, Wonderboy and Leon has lost to him too, but that was years and years ago. Wonderboy and Leon haven't fought Usman at this championship level yet. But they're doing Leon Edwards and Nate Diaz, a 5-round co-main event. I would like to see Wonderboy and Burns as a 5-round co-main event. If I said main event, I meant co-main event. I want to see that as a 5-round co-main event. I don't know if they'll do it, and of course, I don't know if the fighters want that. They probably would rather just fight 3 rounds, both of them, I'm sure, would rather just prepare for 3 rounds instead of 5. But, as a fan watching, I would like to see them go for 5 rounds, or see if, if it does get past 3 rounds, maybe there's an early finish. But, I would like to see them do this 5-round co-main event thing more often. I remember thinking when Robert Whittaker fought Jared Cannonier in the co-main event of UFC 254, Khabib versus Gaethje, I remember thinking, man, I wish this was 5 rounds, because this would definitely be a great fight night, a great 5-round fight night. Like Wonderboy and Burns, that'd be one of the best 5-round fight nights of the year, probably, So I'd like to see that 5 rounds. I wish they would do that 5-round co-main event thing more often when they get these big matchups. But yeah, anyway, let me know what you guys think. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more videos like this one, and thank you very much for watching.